This is Chapter 5 Loops, Programming Exercise 33, Perfect Number. So a positive integer is called a perfect number if it is equal to the sum of all of its positive divisors, excluding itself. For example, 6 is the perfect number because 6 equals to 3 plus 2 plus 1, as in 3 times 2 times 1 equals 6. 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals 6. So therefore 6 is a perfect number. And next one is 28. What goes into 28? Well, 14, 7, 4, 2, and 1. And if we were to add it all together, then 14 plus 7 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 equals 28. So therefore 28 is also a perfect number. Now, there are 4 perfect numbers less than in between 6 to 10,000, and we're going to try to find them all. So this exercise is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We just have to find the perfect number. So we're going to loop through x number between 6 to 10,000, right? Because we know that there will be 4 perfect numbers from 6 to 10,000, and we know that 6 is the smallest perfect number, and there are only 4. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a short value. Let's call our variable possible perfect number, and let's start that at 6. And let's see, as long as our possible perfect number is less than 10,000, that's all we're going to go up to, increment it by 1 for every time we go through, right? We do a little check. And in here, so we're going to basically have an outer for loop and an inner for loop. So for the inner for loop, I'm going to create another variable called sum, set that to 0, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it in a bit. For now, I'm going to create another for loop, a nested for loop, an inner for loop. And I'm just going to call this for loop my divisor. And I'm going to start my divisor at basically the possible perfect number, or the number we start out with in the for loop, and keep going through the for loop. And I'm going to divide it by 2. All right, as you can see from this example, the perfect number, the value always starts at half its value, because at half is what the number is the number that goes into that number. So 3 goes into 6, and 3 is half of 6. 14 goes into 28, and 14 is half of 28. That's why I start off at half of my possibly perfect number. And I just want to make sure divisor will never basically go past 1. All right, if it goes past 1 into 0, well, 0 won't be going into any numbers, so we don't really have to check after that. And of course, divisor minus minus, right? Start from the top, go to the bottom. And this check is pretty simple. We'll just say possible perfect number. If divisor could go into it, right? Say 6, and if 3, there's 3 right here, because 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3, it will be our divisor. If 3 goes into 6, right, then all we're going to simply do is basically take our variable that we created earlier, sum, and basically add the divisor, right? Because if the divisor, if all of them adds up together, and in the end, after we go through our for loop and we find all the possible divisor for that number, if sum actually, the sum of all the divisors equals the possibly perfect number, then bam, we have found our perfect number. And it's pretty much simple like that. Okay, so we're going to run that and take a look and see. And here we go. So we got 6, 28, 496, 8,128 as our 4 perfect divisors, all under 10,000. And that will be it for this exercise.